the Mayor of the City and County of San Francisco, Mayor Ed Lee.
Okay, thank you, Wade. Good morning, everybody. You know, it's really happy to be here, standing next to the trophies, the Twin Towers, I call them. Thank you, Wade, for that introduction, and I want to extend a congratulations to Bob Lynchett again for his new role as the CEO and President of the Chamber. I like these trophies. I like to have them in the city. I like them beside me all the time. They are so exemplary of what our city's accomplished. And, you know, I could have a 30-second speech this morning that maybe some of you would desire that I do rather than any long speech, and simply say that the polls are over, let's go to work. And I'd rather say that in many occasions. But I do want to comment that it's important for us to continue the kind of spirit that these trophies represent. Because if there was any season, 2 of the last 3 years, but if any of them really showed us anything, it was hard work and it was teamwork that really earned these trophies. And certainly for this past year, with the poll results as confirmed that we're heading in the right direction, I have felt very strongly, I continue to want to say that the teamwork that I've had with the Board of Supervisors has been incredibly important to the city, that we continue that dialogue with the leadership of Board President Chu and each member of the board, that we take on these challenges of our city seriously and confidently, and always putting our residents in front of us and making sure that our economy is strong and that we keep focused on job creation. That is still, to me, what is reflected in these polls, and the direction we're having is that if we keep talking about how we can get people jobs, around that job theme, around the things that support it, around the things that support our education, our housing, our transportation agendas, all the strong indicators, we will continue in the right direction for our public. You know, Wade Rose and Steve Falk have worked very hard as a team with me this past year, and I want to acknowledge them. They know what hard work is. We put it together this past year, working as partners with the Chamber and San Francisco businesses. We took on those challenges and we built consensus and we moved solutions forward. We took on a job-killing payroll tax and we replaced it. And when redevelopment was dismantled, we found a lasting solution in funding affordable housing, something that is probably one of the biggest jumps in the concerns that are raised by this poll, is the affordability of housing in our city. And we put in a good foundation with the creation of the Housing Trust Fund. We invested together in our neighborhoods, our parks, our streets, and more importantly, as we've always said, we put San Franciscans back to work. So these poll results do bear them out, and I will also confirm that our unemployment rate also bears that out. In the last 2 years, we've went from 9.6 to 6.5 unemployment rate, and that motivates me even more. So let's continue doing that. Let's continue working together to make sure that the 31,000 other San Franciscans who still don't have a job, that we get them that opportunity, get them the training that they need, get them into the workforces, and make sure we're doing all the right things. This morning, and I think it was the theme for Chinese New Year's this year, if you were able to attend that 1.1 million parade march in the city. The Year of the Snake, essentially for us, means 2 things. One, there's supposed to be more romanticism in the city. So for those of you that want to engage in that, please. The other is that we're supposed to make a lot of good investments, that snakes are smart. They're not as bold as dragons, so we won't really be carving out too many new things, but it's all about smart investment. And I think that that's a perfect theme for this morning. We are investing in our workforce with the $8 million Tech SF grant that we had from the Department of Labor. We placed just over 800 San Franciscans to jobs in construction through CityBeat, the Healthcare Academy, which the first class graduated from, the green jobs, the hospitality jobs, all of the sector academies that our city's been working on with all of the business groups have produced some very solid results. And I look forward to really now, the work gets started now for the summer. Last year, we had over 5,000 jobs for our youth. This year, we want to exceed that. And with the help of the Chamber and all of its members, United Way, of course, with Eric McDonald's leadership there, all of our city departments working together with the businesses, corporations, not only can we exceed it, we can actually, I think, make even more grounds on getting the disadvantaged youth aboard with us. You know, I still say, and I've been asked with this extraordinary year that we had, what are the most depressing moments? And it still is when I envision a youth who may have been a victim in a violent crime that continues to occur, though at historically lower rates now, but still, every single one of these text messages that Chief Sir and I get, that we exchange sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes very early in the morning, are the ones that we worry about. But I do know that if we focus on jobs for youth, we focus on programs for our disengaged and disadvantaged youth, if we rebuild our public housing the way it should be with Hope SF, if we provide the transitional things that we need to do and keep their eyes focused and invest where in education we learn the big drop-offs are, we will do even better. And I know that that will complement all the things that businesses want to have, because ultimately you as business leaders in the city want a well-trained workforce, want good environment for your workforce to live in and to enjoy. And as we've learned through the technology sectors and so many other growing sectors of our economy, the bio, life sciences sector, the employees need to be engaged with the city in so many positive ways through the arts programs as well as support and education, so that when they want to stay here, then the talent is here in San Francisco, then the companies automatically want to grow and stay here as well. We are investing in transportation. As I indicated in my State of the City address, I'm working with Board President David Chu on convening this very important 2030 Transportation Task Force. I know that with Board President Chu's living in North Beach, that very congested part of our city, and also welcoming in and jointly working with me on the Central Subway and figuring out how to make sure that transportation and the building of those infrastructures are also complementary to the need to have small businesses survive as well as succeed. He knows firsthand that it's going to be important to lay out the transportation goals of our city for the next 20 years and make sure that we complement it with the leadership of Gabe Metcalf at Spur so that we can get the conversations going about which of these plans that we've spent so many hours and years on working at, which ones go forward first, how do they complement each other, and how do we create a transportation regional partnership with our agencies and with our technology and all of our business sectors so that we can have the best transportation systems that are properly invested in. As I mentioned earlier, our voters voted in strongly the Housing Trust Fund. There are more than 4,000 new housing units currently under construction in San Francisco. That's 20 times more than the total housing that was built in the whole year of 2011. And many of you should know this. We actually have 42,000 housing units that are planned and already approved in all of our projects, be it Hunters Point, Treasure Island, Park Merced, Central Market. All we need is that financing to go forward. We're investing in planning department. We have a whole budget that's already geared up to allow them to have the proper staffing to review all these projects consistent with all of our zoning and other regulations, and we're moving forward on getting these projects built. They are so incredibly important, and as I said earlier, our public housing, we need housing for everyone. And so, you know, I took some dramatic steps in the last 2 months to indicate that we are no longer interested in running a poverty housing program the way it's been run before. We are interested in Hope SF. We are interested in what already occurs in North Beach, what we have already in Valencia Gardens, and what we do, we will have at Hunter's View and Alice Griffith already invested in, but we need to remake. We need to invest in the people who live in public housing. That's what the whole intent of Hope SF is all about. Also, as part of the poll, continued concern about the people who live on our streets. Just over the last 9 years, 10,000 San Franciscans left our streets and our shelter programs and found permanent housing with supportive services. So we need to build that much more of supportive services with the housing. And in the last 7 years, we reunited some 7,000 people with their families and loved ones through the program of uniting people and making sure that they got reconnected. Last year, for the first time in many years, we had no budget cuts to human services or public health. And I was proud to approve a $3 million add back to emergency shelter and housing subsidies. But it isn't all just about money. It's also about linkages. And that's why we asked for the leadership of former Supervisor Bevan Dufty to help lead my administration apply his energy and his creative commitments and bold ideas to the whole issue of homelessness. And he is challenging all of us in so many ways to think outside of the box and make sure that we link all these things that we're doing to improve the conditions and get people into more long-term shelter. And right now, we are focused on the long-time inebriants as well as those that suffer from mental health. These are things that are challenges in front of us, and I'm going to be asking the Chamber and all of you members to help us with this challenge, because I believe that the federal government will fail in their efforts to solve the sequestration, and I believe that that will cause us more angst in the whole arena of mental health challenges that we have. And as you know, I've been a big supporter of infrastructure in the city, and if I can't talk any more than these brief minutes, I will save it for our question and answer period that we have today. But just simply say that as one of the principal authors of the city's 10-year capital plan, I know about infrastructure. I know that we need to invest in it very heavily. And this is our future. It will indicate what we are able to do successfully in the future if we invest in that infrastructure. And I look forward to working with all of you on the great events that are forthcoming in our city. We are so lucky. In addition to World Series, World Baseball that's coming, 55 days of sailing, the Schwab Cup comes in also in early November. We have the bid for the Super Bowl. We are, of course, getting taps from international Olympics to see whether or not this Bay Area can be excited about that as well. These things would not come our way unless we create a good foundation and invest smartly. So again, I want to thank the Chamber and all of you for working together with us, and congratulations on moving all together in the right direction. Thank you.
Mayor, you are someone who has, for your entire career in the city, been involved with infrastructure. You were the architect in many ways of the 10-year capital plan. Will you start us off today?
Thank you, Gabe, and it's my pleasure again to be here this morning and joining good friend Mr. Early at PG&E. Many of you know I've been around city government for a while. In fact, I oftentimes talk about the hardest job I ever had, which was to head up Public Works. And I don't know what angered Willie Brown at the time when he made that appointment, but I think he knew a little secret. He wanted somebody that was passionate about the city to get into the real nitty-gritty of what makes the city work. And that was what I was interested in. I wasn't just wanting to do civil rights so much. I think the real civil rights agenda was really the economics of the city. And so I headed up during my city administrative years. After I did public works, I did city administrator under Gavin Newsom, and he allowed me to work with so many great department heads in the city, in the controller's office, and Ben Rosenfield and I went through an agenda to create the 10-year capital plan. And that allowed our departments, who had for some years, you know, the number of them here, Rec and Park, MTA, and DPW are all here, PUC. For years, we fought over who's got what priority to break into the ground or to get the bulk of the city's funds. And with the 10-year capital plan, we allowed ourselves, with the public and with our business partners, to do planning that would focus on infrastructure, not do these one-off battles where it was the school district funding versus the playgrounds, or the playgrounds versus Muni. To allow ourselves to plan and prioritize, and then have the conversation with voters who rewarded us this last few years over $2 billion of general obligation bonds, because they have faith that we not only have the priorities straightened out, we're coordinating, which is hugely important in this city, coordinate these infrastructure projects, and that we properly invest and make sure that these projects are done on time and within budget. And this is why we've got huge projects like General Hospital, like our streets, like our parks that we did this past November, like our Housing Trust Fund. These infrastructure projects are important because businesses such as yours, as well as just plain residents, want to have transportation systems that work, have water systems that work. I know today we had a big challenge this morning with a water main break, and we've got to continue doing better. And when these water mains hit us, just like power outages and substation fires, we again take a look at what we're doing and make sure that we're doing all the right things. While accidents happen, we can certainly prevent many of them from happening. I do know for a fact that one of the motivations I had, both as city administrator and now as mayor, is that we've got to prepare for the next big disaster. And this is a lesson that we learn time and time again. Every city has to invest properly in that. And that's why healthcare, hospitals are being invested in properly, or not only our general hospital, but UC's, Chinese hospital, CPMC, as you see the beat poll, is incredibly important. These things we learned through proper planning, proper investments, and then the dialogue with voters can be incredibly beneficial when you have that kind of planning. So we've learned over many years, we made all the mistakes. At the same time, I do think, and I'm very excited about PG&E's pronouncement, because again, it just reflects a tremendous focus on what they as a private utility company does in concert with the city. And you can bet that the biggest challenge that we're going to have, Tony, is the coordination, so that we don't break up the streets more than once, but that we do something else at the same time. We allow private industry maybe to put in some fiber when we're breaking up the streets and kind of make that an asset that we can all use even more than what we do today.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So, Tony, PG&E operates an enormous network of infrastructure. Will you share some thoughts about this?
Well, sure, and it's a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank the Chamber for giving me the opportunity to share the podium with the Mayor. I arrived here in California about 18 months ago from Michigan, and I know the Mayor had checked me out because his good friend, Mayor Dave Bing in Detroit, had talked to him and knew that I was passionate about public-private partnerships. And so within the first week of being here, the Mayor and I met, and we started to talk about infrastructure issues, but kind of in a one-off way. And as a result of that and other conversations, we concluded we really needed to focus on a more comprehensive plan of how we position San Francisco to be the world-class city that we are, not only now, but into the next century. And his team and our team have talked about that. And what I really appreciate about the Mayor, he understands the importance of infrastructure, not only for his city, but for our state and for our country. Because when you think about it, the energy infrastructure, which is vital to the economic well-being of our country and our city, most of it was built in the post-World War II boom years. And therefore, like me, it's getting a little creaky, and we need to work on it. And so as part of the discussions that we've had is how do we put together a comprehensive plan not only for San Francisco, but around the state of California, because each community is different and has different needs. So working with the mayor's folks, I am pleased to announce that we put together a comprehensive $1.2 billion investment plan over the next 5 years to support infrastructure, renewal, and improvement here in the city of San Francisco. And I'll just kind of very high level talk about some of the areas because it really is a comprehensive plan. First of all, we've focused on what do we need to do to support growth in the city. And there are areas of the city that the mayor and his team have really focused on to try and stimulate growth. I can remember when I was a young naval officer stationed at Mare Island Naval Shipyard, I'd come into the city. There were parts of South of Market that even the sailors wouldn't go into. And today, of course, it's a vibrant area. Our substations that supply those areas need to increase their capacity to support the growth that we know is going to happen. So we're going to commit to that growth. So that's important. And also making sure we have got improved reliability to make sure we have a very vibrant downtown business community. But we haven't forgotten the neighborhoods. And so we've also looked at the needs in our neighborhoods. So better street lighting in our neighborhoods, improved reliability, taking the incredible data that we're getting from our smart meters now and being able to link that with automated switches that instead of taking time to go out and manually have to shift when we have outages, be able to use that data automatically shift to reduce the outage time in neighborhoods. I'm pleased to say that in the past year we've had some of the best reliability we've ever had in our history in the city of San Francisco. So we're going to focus on neighborhoods. And then we focus on safety. We know we need to invest in this aging infrastructure. So it's replacing underground cables. It's literally replacing miles of natural gas piping here in the city. So I'm really pleased with the comprehensive nature and the way that we've coordinated with the mayor's office, because he's absolutely right. The coordination is going to be crucial, not only to avoid disruption to the citizens, but also to reduce costs for ourselves and for the city.
All right, so San Francisco Chronicle is available out the door on your way out if you haven't read it yet. So we just witnessed a terrible failure of urban life support systems on the East Coast in the wake of Hurricane Sandy. Given that that's still very large in all of our minds, and given that we know we have serious vulnerabilities here in the Bay Area from earthquakes, among other things, will you talk, maybe Tony first, will you talk a little bit about how you guys are thinking about resiliency?
Well, we got a first-hand view of this because we literally had hundreds of employees working in the New York metropolitan area supporting Consolidated Edison and National Grid and others. And we've spent a lot of time with our teams that were there getting the lessons learned. And I think there are two major lessons that we learned. One is you can't do it all by yourself. The utilities there to be effective, the ones that were effective, partnered well with cities, with the states, because it's not only the electric grid that's affected, it's all of the support grids. I mean, one of the problems our trucks had was finding diesel fuel to run. And actually the federal government helped out there. And so one lesson we bring back from that is we have got to have strong partnerships with the city, with the state, and with other agencies that are going to provide support in a natural disaster. And the second thing we learned is you cannot prevent it. You cannot build a system that will not be damaged in one of these natural disasters, whether it's a Superstorm Sandy or whether it's the big one, earthquake. And so what you need to do is design a system that's got flexibility and resiliency that will aid you in then returning the system back to normal after an event like that. And so some of the investment we're making will do precisely that. We're adding new transmission that will come into the city and have an alternate supply to vital areas of the city. We're looking at interconnecting. We have several different transmission systems coming up the peninsula. We're interconnecting them so that we will have more flexibility, that we can isolate problem areas in the event of an emergency. And we're committing resources to do more training and more coordination with city and local governments so that we're better prepared to work together.
All right, Mayor, I know you have been thinking a lot about resiliency. What do you think are the next things we need to be doing?
Well, I think everybody in this room should know that we have regarded our utilities as being our lifelines, so that anything happens, we will recover quickly. My number one goal has always been that we can't prevent natural disasters from happening, but we can surely recover very quickly from it. And this is lessons learned from the East Coast, from New Orleans, every other place. So even before Mr. Early came, we formed a Utility Lifelines Council for the city of San Francisco, privilege that I had doing as city administrator. And more, as I sit here and make these decisions as mayor, I look back and say, God, I wonder who advised me about that, because that was one of the best decisions I made. You know, if you're a Bernard Tyson, or if you're anybody else who wants to think about where you want to live, I think you want to make that investment in San Francisco, because with the Lifelines Council, we've got all the major utilities communicating now and have done so for the last 3 years in preparation for any major disaster. How do we work with each other already to recover? One of the lessons that Mr. Early said was diesel, getting people to the right places, getting those lines back up. How do you do all of that? And the very first question PG&E asked when they started sitting in on these Lifeline Utility Council is, how do you get our workforce back into the city? What are those transportation things? And so we've added all of the different heads of transportation, of utilities like AT&T and the other telecommunications lines. Now we have SF Tech, SF City with the technology companies here that are dependent. They want to join on the Lifelines Council. We have all the major utilities conversing before the event happens, exercising not only tabletop, but some real life exercises about what they do to get workforces back into the city and make sure that they give San Francisco a priority if things should happen here. This is going on as we speak, and this is why we talked about investments. These are right things. I will say with this announcement, the $1.2 billion investment, that I'm excited about it because it will build redundancy, it will create the resilience that we need. But there's two other things that you got to know about that we've already discussed in our collaboration and coordination. You take a look at the 8th Street, 8th and Mission substation where they're already begin working. Not only are they investing what happens inside that substation, they're doing a little nice artwork on the outside. They're complimenting the neighborhood by some beautiful artwork. And I've been on their case for that, but they're sensitive to it because
we listen.
There's 2,500 brand new units across the street going up. And they would love more than see than just a blank substation that looks like a substation, but more like an art piece that complements it. The other aspect that the supervisors are very interested in, London Breed and Supervisor Wiener and David Chu are all working very closely, local hire. People who are living here want to work. And because they want to work, we've engaged PG&E on their massive investment here to invest in our City Build program and make sure that the skill sets that we're training there are going to be people that are working on there. Not all skill sets can do this work, but certainly those that we have trained people in, they're going to be part of this massive $1.2 billion effort.
And we're really excited about that aspect. We've been working with our unions, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, and engineers and scientists in California, and we have a Power Pathways training program, and coupling that with City Build, we think there are going to be great opportunities for jobs here in the city to train people. And these are really good jobs. And they're jobs that will have a future going forward for the people that learn the skills.
All right, I know we're getting short on time. I just, Mr. Early, I just need to put you on the spot with a final question. That, 2.5 years ago, there was a pipeline explosion in San Bruno. 1.5 years ago, you were brought in to lead PG&E. Can you just share a little bit of what it was like to come into this organization after that kind of a tragedy, and what you have been trying to do to make sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah, for me, it's been a remarkable experience. It kind of caps my almost 30-year career in this industry. And, I mean, for most of my career, PG&E was known as the gold standard in the industry. And last decade or so, there have been some challenges at the company, and kind of we hit rock bottom with San Bruno. But what I can tell you is we have seen significant changes in the last 18 months. I mean, we have had a laser-like focus on getting back to basics and providing safe, reliable, and affordable service to our customers. We've done unparalleled amounts of testing, repair, replacement on our natural gas pipeline system. We've invested in our electric system. As I said before, our electric system last year was the best year we've had in our history. In fact, the month of January of this year was the best month we've ever had in terms of reliability. We're making progress, but as I keep telling every single one of our 21,000 employees, we're not there yet. We have to keep focused and making progress.
All right, I want to thank both of you for the leadership you are bringing to the infrastructure, the life support systems that support this city. I want to thank the Chamber for putting this session on. With that, I think I see Bob Linscheid trying to come up, so thank you both very much.
Great. Bob.